Recently on my channel, I tested out Jackery's HomePower 3000 portable power station, and it performed extremely well. Today we're going to be checking out Jackery's HomePower 3600 Plus. So 3,600 watts continuous output capability, 7,200 watt for surge. So if you have any kind of a inductive load, which is a motor, you should have no issues at all powering them using this power station, especially based on the test results for the HomePower 3000. Take a look at the bottom, shows a refrigerator, 2 to 3 days. So a full-size refrigerator, you can expect 2 to 3 days of power. Keep in mind, if the refrigerator is smaller, you're going to get a lot more days than that. If you keep the door closed and don't open it too much, the compressor is not going to run too often, and you're going to get more days. So it's a lot of factors involved: the size of the refrigerator, if you keep the door closed, and also if the defrost cycle kicks in. Now over here, 6,000 cycles, self-discharge rate. So if you charge this up and just put it away, self-discharge rate after 1 year is only 5%. Easy to transport with the wheels and the retractable handle. And if you use this as an uninterruptible power supply for a computer, you can expect a switching time from mains power to the power station of 10 milliseconds. When I test this power station, I'm also going to be showing you and using Jackery's SolarSaga 500 folding solar panel. To get started, I'm going to unbox, take everything out, show you what's included, and then we're going to head inside and get the testing going. Okay, and this is the contents of the box. You have the power station, which was packaged incredibly well. Foam padding. I don't see any way this could be damaged during shipping. You have the AC mains charging cord, and you have the instruction manual. Now let's take a look at the SolarSaga 500. And the solar panel was packaged just as nicely. You can see right here, you have a nice cover for the panel. It's a padded case. Instruction manual, a screwdriver, screws, hinges. And the purpose of the hinges, you're going to have to take each one of those 6 85-watt monocrystalline panels, and you're going to screw them together. You're going to go to the first panel. That's where the connector is for the extension cord to the Jackery power station. That panel, you're going to take the hinge, position it underneath, and place the screws through the top. After you do the first set of hinges, the second set is going to be placed on the top. The screws will be put in from the bottom, and you're going to keep alternating until you get to the end. Once all the hinges have been installed, then you can connect each one of the connectors going from panel to panel, as you see right here. The first panel will have the Anderson connector with the rubber boot. And the last panel, you're going to take the rubber plug, push it into the connector as shown. Transporting is very easy. Simply fold it up till it looks like what you see right here. Place it in the case, zip it up and go. Now that we have the power station inside, let's go over the specifications for the power station. First thing I noticed, it's a little smaller in size compared to other power stations of this capacity. The dimensions of this power station are 15.2 inches across, or 38.5 centimeters, 12.2 inches front to back, or 30.9 centimeters, and from top to bottom, 19.3 inches, or 49.1 centimeters. This power station weighs 77 pounds, or 35 kilograms. The lithium iron phosphate battery that's used inside this power station is an 80 amp hour, 44.8 volt, 3,584 watt hour. And we're going to take a look at that capacity because I'm going to load this up just under the rating for this power station once it's fully charged. And we're going to allow it to discharge all the way down to 0. Hopefully it runs non-stop before turning off. And then we'll have a good idea how long this will run with this battery pack when it's used at full capacity. Since this unit does have a 3,600 watt power output, the entire power output could be used from this RV receptacle right here, or you're going to have to break up that output among these 20 amp receptacles. For the HomePower 3600 Plus, the charge and discharge temperature range for this unit is -4 Fahrenheit up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit, or -20 degrees Celsius up to 45 degrees Celsius. According to the manufacturer, the battery pack in this unit can be cycled 6,000 times if it's not a deep discharge. So if you go from 100% down to 70, charge it back up again, you can expect around 6,000 times. Of course, if you do a deeper discharge, the number of cycles is going to drop. This portable power station also has a UPS feature, uninterruptible power supply, so you could take the output right here, connect it to your TV, computer, or anything else up to 1,440 watts. Then you would plug the power station into the wall. In the event of a power failure, it would switch very quickly from the AC mains to the power station. Now, because this power station has a built-in retractable handle that you can see right here, and wheels that look like a power button, this is very easy to transport, just like luggage. And the good thing is, with that rubber coating on the wheels, it doesn't bounce and vibrate like power stations that only have plastic wheels. That hard plastic on a hard surface could bounce. With the rubber trim on the wheel, it's a lot smoother when you're rolling it. Looking at the right side of the power station, you can see the handle grip. There's a curve underneath, very comfortable to hold, plenty of room. You're not going to bang your hand if you have a big hand. And if you're not going to carry this yourself the way I would, or roll it, then you can have one person on one side, another person on the other, and you can carry it that way. Below that, there's a very large ventilation opening. The cooling fans are located on the opposite side. Right here it says DC expansion port, so you know the capacity of the battery in this unit. If you want to increase that capacity, you can add additional batteries, which Jackery sells, in parallel, and it's going to increase the runtime of this unit. Over here it says AC expansion port, so you can take two of these units, connect them together in parallel for a greater power output. So if the AC output is overloaded, you're going to see right here where it trips. Just push the button back in to reset. Below that it says DC 8020 input. This is used for the solar charging. So later you're going to see me connect up the SolarSaga 500x. One panel is going to go here, 500, and then if I had a second one, which I don't, you would plug it in on this side, and you can have a total input charging rate of 1,000 watts. And using a 1,000 watt charging input, it would take around 4 hours to fully charge this power station once it's depleted. And right here at the bottom you have your AC mains connected with that cable to the wall for charging, or if you're going to use it in bypass mode as an uninterruptible power supply. Looking at the left side of the power station, the only thing on this side is another large ventilation opening. That's where the cooling fans are located, so you have very good flow through this power station to keep it cool under load. Looking at the rear side of the power station, not too much going on. You have these hard protrusions sticking out. That's if you wanted to take the power station and lay it flat. It'll rest on these 2 points. And you can see the handle. Push the button to release and lift it all the way up. It's telescopic. I'll hold it here and it engages. And then it locks in position. Pushing the button on the handle allows it to unlock, so you could slide it back into the power station. To turn on the power station, push and hold till the green light comes on. And you can see current state of charge, 31%. There's 4 segments illuminated. Looking at the upper left, it's showing a Wi-Fi symbol and Bluetooth symbol. Using Jackery's app, like I showed you in the previous video, you can easily control this power station. You can also change settings for battery saving mode and other things. Once the power station is turned on, if you don't touch anything, it will automatically turn off after 2 hours. If there's no activity for 2 minutes, to save power, the display will turn off. If you want the display to remain on, with the screen active, simply push the power button twice. And now that screen will stay on for up to 2 hours. If there's an issue connecting to the Jackery power station with your smartphone and you turned on and off your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, the next thing you would want to do is reset Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. In order to do that, you would push the main power and USB for 3 seconds to reset it. All right, and it's stopped, and now it's cycling again. If you're not going to be using the app and you want to turn off the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, push these for 1 second, AC and USB. And you can see, no more flashing, deactivated. Turn it back on, same way. And there it is, reactivated. Okay, with USB on, this is identical circuitry to the HomePower 3000. I did spot check these with my tester. They do perform extremely well. There's no issues with them. But I'm going to show you the testing that I did on the HomePower 3000 for these ports. To test the USB Type A output, I'm going to put 3.1 amps with this load tester, and I'm also going to be plugging in my phone to the other port. I'm going to let both run for about 20 minutes, and you're going to see the wattage show up right over there. Let's put that on. Okay, let's let that sit, and I'll be back. Okay, no issues. Around a half an hour, charging the phone and having the 3.1 amps on the load tester. So let's go on to USB Type-C. Now in order to test the USB Type-C, I'm going to use the electronic load over here, weigh this down with about 70 watts on one side, and I'm also going to add another 20-25 on this one. So it's going to be a little below 100 using the two loads. I'll let it run for about a half an hour just to make sure there's no issues. Alright, so 92 watts. Everything is looking good. 69 watts. So that means this is pulling around 23 watts. Okay, no problem at all. I actually let it run about 45 minutes because the load was a little lower than I wanted, but it was still a substantial load on those ports, and there was no issue. Now that the USB testing is out of the way, now we're going to go on to AC testing. And this is primarily what people buy these units for, is for that high power AC output. First, let's take a look at the output voltage. Okay, so you're going to look right over here. 119.9 volts. And it's also the same over here. 119.9, because it's all connected together. Now we're going to check the frequency output and the waveform to make sure it's pure sine wave on this AC output. Turn it on. And you can see right here, 60.0000 hertz. So definitely a 60 hertz output. And there's your waveform, nice sine wave. Now I'm going to take a inductive load and resistive, this hair dryer. It's high current, that's why I like to use it. We're going to turn it on high heat, fastest setting, just to see how it affects the waveform. It actually smooths it right out. There's a couple of little ripple spots here, but once the power is connected, you're going to notice that vanishes. So very good there. I want to connect up the AC mains charging just to see what the input wattage is connected to AC mains. (1,600 watts at that charging rate. It's estimating roughly 2 hours. Very quiet with the cooling fan. The HomePower 3600 Plus can also be charged in your vehicle using an optional charging cable, but the only thing is the wattage is going to be way down, probably around 100 watts or just a little less. I'm going to leave this cable connected, bring it up to maybe 40 or 50%, 40 minutes later, we're up to 67%, so charging at a good rate according to what it shows on the display. The next thing I want to do while this is charging, I want to demonstrate the UPS feature. So I'm going to turn on the AC output. So we have the input from the AC mains. You see this dropped to 1406 with this on. And the limit, I think, was 1420 in the manual. So now I can plug this in. When I pull the plug, this screen should remain on. It shouldn't be affected in any way. Let's give it a try. Okay, so no issue there. Now let's try a much higher current load. Let me use the hairdryer and repeat the test. Turn this on. It's on a warm setting. Not sure if you heard it, but there was a subtle change in the sound of this running when it was switching between the two. So that feature appears to work just fine. Let me keep charging this up to 100% so we can take this outside and continue on. The Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus is now fully charged at 100%. There is something I want to show you with the AC output. If you take a look over here at the digital multimeter, 200 volt setting AC. AC receptacle is on. So if I go in here and here, 120. If you go between the hot and ground, 45. If you go between neutral and ground, 76.2. So some viewers are going to see that and say, wait a second, why is there a reading between the neutral and the ground? And what you're looking at is a floating charge. And I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to connect up this very low current lamp. I think it's 5 watts. I'm going to put it across here just to show you. That's as bright as it is. And then what I'm going to do here is go back to the neutral, and this is going to go to the ground. So you can see 76 volts. So now I'm going to go between neutral and ground. And if there's power there, usable power, that light will come on. So let me leave this one alone and shove it in here now. You see how it vanished? There's no more 76 volts. I took that little surface charge off, and now it's 0. And the same thing applies if we do it this way. So 45 volts. And if I go between the hot and ground, this should disappear. And you see there's no illumination of the bulb. So it's just a surface charge. And what's going to happen when you connect this to your house, if you use Jackery's automatic smart transfer switch, which lets you transfer up to 12 branch circuits, the neutral in your home is also connected to a ground rod. So the neutral and ground are bonded together. Or if you have a main panel, you're going to see that the neutral and the ground are connected together in your main panel. Sub-panels are different. They're going to have a separate ground. You'll have a ground bar in the panel instead of just a neutral bar where all your grounds and neutrals are connected. So once you connect the RV receptacle to that transfer switch, or in my case, I have a different setup which you're going to see. Mine is a manual transfer. The ground and the neutral are going to become one. So I'm just going to show you right now. So let's just do this. Right here it says 45. All right. Let's go back to the neutral 76. So if I take this and put it between here and here, this should go to 0. And the reason why I know it's not going to short out, let me just show you one more time. Put that in and put this in. All right, it's at 0. If I take this meter right here, 1 milliamp or 0, connect it right over here, it's showing 0. So there's no current flowing to keep this at 0. Pull that off. Take this. This is what's going to happen in your house. Now, if I measure between neutral and hot, you have 120. Between hot and ground, if I get it in, 120. And if I go between neutral and ground, nothing's going to happen because both of those are shorted. So you're going to end up with 0 volts. That explains why you see that little bit of a floating charge. It's not an issue, and it will work just fine if you connect this to your home. Now we're going to place a bunch of inductive loads, all kinds of loads, on this AC output to see what this power station can handle. And then we're going to try overloading it to see at what point it will actually turn off. Heavy duty hammer drill. We know the hair dryer was not a problem. Let's do it on the high setting again. 1,615. Now the shop vac. Started right up with ease. Now this high inrush current circular saw. If it starts this with ease, you can be pretty much guaranteed it'll start just about everything with no problem. $1,780 peak. Now I'm going to keep adding loads until we overload the system. It should turn off if there's overload protection in place. Now let's add in the hair dryer. And what I like, there's enough space between these receptacles that plugs like this can actually fit. I've seen power stations, you can't plug this in if there's a plug next to it. So this is very good. Let's turn it on. Screen back on. Let's do this first, and then I'll add this one. Okay, so we hit a peak of around, I think it was 3,200 on startup, but both together was around 2,800 watts. Now let me add in the vacuum cleaner with these two. No issues at all. And we were maintaining around 3,700 watts. So let me add one more thing in that's going to bring it up a little bit higher to see if it overloads. We should be well over 4,000 watts. Probably ran about 2 minutes before it went into overload. Pretty good. So I was averaging right around 4,000 watts, and this is rated at 3,600 continuous. So you could probably, more than likely, use even more power than that for a shorter duration if you had to. So maybe 4,300 for a minute or maybe 45 seconds. So really impressive. This is going to be connected to a newly installed dedicated 120/240 twist lock receptacle. You're going to see it in a minute. and I'm going to be using this cable plugged in right here. Now, when you look at this, facing this way, this prong has a W, that's your neutral. Of course, that's the ground and that's the hot. So this is only putting out 120. So I'm going to have 120 volts sent to both bus bars in my breaker panel. I'm not going to have any 240 volt appliances, which I don't need. Everything I pretty much use is going to be on 120. And the way I take this 120 and make it go to both bus bars is on this side, I have the twist lock. So the white from here goes to this blade right here. That's the neutral. This blade here with this little protrusion on the side, that is the ground. And both of these are hot. So normally, if you have a gas generator, this is one leg, 120, that's one leg, that's 120. Both together give you 240. In this case, the hot blade here is connected to both of these blades. Very simple setup, and it does work great. It lets me use these power stations, and I can also use 240 volts if I have my gas generator connected. Okay, here's my panel. You can see this interlock kit. For this to go on, this has to be off. This is the double 30, 240 volt circuit. Each one of these is a 120 volt leg. So the HomePower is going to feed the same 120 into this leg as well as that leg. Now if I put this on, it should turn off the main. You see that works good. These are all marked in red. Those are 240. I can actually leave them on, but I'm going to turn them off. These are things that I won't be using. Off and there. So now I can go inside and connect up the Jackery. Right here, the Jackery is in front of my washing machine. The RV plug is already in the Jackery. The cord comes around and it goes straight next to the dryer plug. When I turn on the power, this light should come on. Here we go. Now let's go inside and check everything out. We're going to make sure the refrigerator is running, make sure all the lighting is working, the fans, microwave. Let's go give it a test. Okay, microwave has power. Lighting is good. Refrigerator, that's on. It's not running, but it will be in a minute. Leave the door open. That's on. Chairs are powered up. That's good. Make sure the TV works. Perfect. Bathroom's working fine, the fan and the lights. Computer area is powered up. The refrigerator is now running. Yep. Let's try the disposal. Perfect. Let's try the microwave. No problem there. Okay, hot tub. Let's turn on the sprinkler pump now. Working good. Let's make sure the ceiling fan works. Remote control. Perfect. So this works everything for me that I need. I could plug in an electric skillet, my toaster oven. Everything works. I just don't have central air or my tankless heater. GFCI. Yep, tests perfectly. And it resets. Now to manually switch back, just turn off the power. Pull this out. Twist lock. Now I'm back to the main breaker. And you can see it shut that off as it turned the whole house back on. With the power station fully charged, now we're going to connect up around 3,350 watts. We're going to see how long the power station can run with that constant load. Hopefully it can run throughout the whole discharge cycle. Okay, the HomePower 3600 Plus supplied right around 3,350 watts continuously for 57 minutes and 14 seconds. What I'm going to do now is allow the power station to cool down, connect it to AC mains, charge it up to about 25-30%, and then we're going to take it out back and connect up the SolarSaga 500x. Right here you can see I have the Jackery HomePower 3600 Plus connected up to the 500 watt SolarSaga folding solar panel. I'm going to wait a few minutes. There's some clouds in the way. Once the clouds pass through, I'm going to take a lux reading, tell you what that value is, and we're going to take a look at what the power output is from that solar panel into the power station. The HomePower 3600 Plus is a hybrid power station, meaning you could charge it with AC mains and solar at the same time. Also included are these spikes. The tips come off, and you would use this to secure the panel into the lawn to keep the panels from moving in the event of windy conditions. When you set these panels in position, make sure they are centered on the sun. So if the sun is farther that way, you're going to take this line and rotate it around till the sun is lined up with the center of this row. Might be hard for you to see, but it's right around 78,000 lux. Let's take a look at the reading on the portable power station. You can see right here, right around 450 watts. This unit does have a maximum input of 1,000, so you can use 2 of these panels connected together. There's 2 ports on the side of this unit. And keep in mind, you can also use other solar panels as long as the input voltage does not exceed 60. So on a clear sunny day, we were at 450 a few minutes ago with the clouds around, easily 500 watts input power to the Jackery HomePower 3600. And that's all for the testing of this power station, and I have to say I'm not surprised that this power station performed this well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to rate, thumbs up, and share. Thanks for watching.